Welcome back everybody to another one in my aviation history series, and this is going to be episode 6 on my series on the history of the RCAF. Now in today's video we're going to be looking at the history of 403 Squadron. Now 403 Squadron has the distinction of being the first RCAF unit formed overseas that did not start with a nucleus from a pre-war squadron. It was formed from scratch in England under the Article 15 provisions. And 403 Squadron has been in service almost continuously since World War II, making it one of the longest serving squadrons in the RCAF. But now, before we get too far into this, my name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. And just before we jump into this video, I do want to say thank you to everybody out there who has been following, who has subscribed, who have liked the videos, the people who are interacting through comments. I do appreciate it all. It is getting me that one step closer to that landmark of 1,000 subscribers. And for anybody out there who is wondering, I do plan on monetizing this channel, but only in the sense that it's going to offset some of the costs involved in the back end of running it. As I'm sure you've noticed, building these models takes up a lot of material. And up until now, that's just been coming out of my back pocket. So if I can offset those costs a little bit, it allows me to get some slightly better material, you know, get some newer models, get some new stuff going on, get some the construction done. As well, it's going to help offset with some of the travel I do going to air shows, and especially as things open up post-COVID. To some of the different locations that I plan on doing some on-location filming. So there are costs incurred. Up until now, I've been doing it in my back pocket, and you know, at some point, like I said, when I hit those 1,000 subscribers, I will monetize. So if anybody out there is questioning that, I will, but it's only for the back end to balance. So on that note, if you haven't subscribed yet and you like the content you're seeing, please subscribe down below. Click that like button. If you don't like the content you're seeing, let me know why. Send a comment over, let me know what you don't like, what you think I could do better, and I'll do my best to try to make things work. So thank you very much, guys, and here we go, onto the video. So 403 Squadron got its start on March 1st, 1941 at Baggington, England, and as I said, it was built from scratch under Article 15. The unit was set up as a fighter unit in 9 group and were assigned Tomahawk Mark 1s and Mark 2As and were assigned the squadron code KH. Now, due to the lack of experienced RCAF personnel, the first few squadron commanders, up until August of 1942, were RAF officers. The unit spent a few weeks working up and then flew its first combat mission on May 11, 1941, when 2 Tomahawks flew a base patrol at 25,000 feet. On May 29th, the unit relocated to Turnhill and began to transition to Spitfire Mark 1s after only flying 29 operational sorties with the Tomahawk. I was not able to find any pictures of a 403 Squadron Mark 1, but I did find pictures of a model that someone built of one. So the unit then quickly transitioned through a number of Spitfire variants, swapping their Mark 1s for Mark 1As in July, then getting Mark 5Bs and Mark 5Cs in August, losing their Mark 1s by September, and settling on a fleet of only Mark 5Bs by late September of 1941. The unit moved to Hornchurch on August 4th, moving to 11 Group, and flew its first offensive mission on August 5th when 11 Spitfire Mark 5Bs flew an escort mission to Saint-Omer in France, covering a formation of Blenheims that were on a bombing mission. Late in August, the unit relocated to Debden, then Martlesham on October 3rd, and then on to North Weld on December 22nd. May 2nd, 1942 saw them relocate to Southend, then Martlesham again on June 3rd for a brief time before moving on to Catterick on June 19th and becoming part of 13 Group. They stayed here for nearly 6 months before moving to Kenley on January 23rd, 1943 and becoming part of number 11 Group again. During this time, they converted to the Spitfire Mark 9s and would fly these right up till December of 1944. The unit also became part of the 2nd Tactical Air Force, and under that organization was assigned to the 127th Wing of 83 Group. This was the famed Kenley Wing of the RCAF and was commanded by Wing Commander Johnny Johnson until September of 1943. On August 7, 1943, 403 relocated to Lashenden, then on to Headcorn on August 20th, and finally back to Kenley on October 13th. During their time under Johnny Johnson, 127th Wing developed new fighting techniques, including flying the Finger 4 formation during attacks, which allowed them more freedom for the pilots to scan for possible enemy aircraft versus the earlier 3-ship and line-astern formations. They also avoided ground attack missions as much as possible to focus on aerial combat and participated in a number of escort missions for US AAF bombers over France and built up a fairly large number of enemy aircraft shot down as a result. Johnson then moved on to other postings in early September 1943. Another notable pilot to have flown with 403 was Buzz Burling. He had been a member of the unit for a few months early in 1942, but was then posted to Malta, where he became a highly skilled fighter pilot. He returned to Canada for a bond drive, then rejoined 403 Squadron in September of 1943 as Canada's highest scoring pilot at the time. He did not do well with 403, however, as he was a quote-unquote lone wolf style pilot after his time on Malta and did not take well to group tactics and was later posted elsewhere. He did, however, manage to score his 30th kill while flying with 403. 403 would stay with 127th Wing till the end of the war, and things got busy in early 1944. On April 18th, the unit moved to Tangmere and began to prepare for the D-Day invasion. On June 16th, only 10 days after D-Day, the unit moved to the continent, being based at B2 in Bazenville, France. As with many of these continent-based units, they hopped from base to base as their front line moved deeper into Germany. Their bases on the continent were as follows. As mentioned, first was B2 Bazenville on June 16th. On August 22nd, they moved to B26 in Illiers-l'Evêque, France. On September 22nd, they moved to B68 Le Clos in Belgium. On October 1st, they moved to B82 Grave, Netherlands. October 21st, B58 Melsbroek, Belgium. November 3rd, B56 Evere, Belgium. March 2nd, 1945, they went to B90 Petit Brogel in Belgium. March 31st, B78 in Eindhoven, Germany. April 11th, they went to B100 Go, Germany. And finally, on April 28th, they went to B152 in Fassberg, Germany. Now, in December of 1944, while based at Evere, the unit converted to the Mark 16 Spitfire, which, for all intents and purposes, was a Mark 9 with the Packard Merlin rather than the Rolls-Royce Merlin. I may have a video in the future that goes through in some detail the history of the different Spitfire marks, but for now I'll just keep it simple, and they flew Mark 16s till the end of the war. The unit was disbanded on July 10, 1945, while based at Fassberg, and while equipped with the Spitfire Mark 16. During World War II, the unit had flown a total of 17,728 operational hours, claiming 123 aircraft destroyed, with 10 probable and a further 72 damaged. It dropped 70 tons of bombs and was credited with 17 rail cuts, 50 locomotives destroyed or damaged, 150 freight cars, and almost 130 vehicles of various types. The unit lost 85 aircraft with 44 pilots killed. The post-war life of 403 began in 1948 when a number of ex-RCAF pilots lobbied to have an auxiliary unit based in Calgary. The unit was officially stood up as 403 Fighter Bomber Auxiliary Squadron on October 15, 1948, and the unit received their first aircraft, Harvard Mark IIs, in August of 1949 and was assigned the unit code AD. They were based at what would become RCAF Lincoln Park in the southwest of the city, and that is now part of Mount Royal campus. In November of 1950, the unit received their first Mustang Mark IVs and began training in the fighter-bomber tactics to support the Canadian Army. In 1951, the unit code was changed from AD to PR, and on September 3, 1952, the unit was renamed 403 City of Calgary Fighter Bomber Auxiliary Squadron. Then, in 1953, it was changed to a fighter unit only. With the coming of the jet age, the unit received their first Silver Stars in November of 1955 and began training for the eventual conversion to a jet fighter. It is next to impossible to find pictures of any 403 Silver Stars, but I was able to find this one that shows the aftermath of a wheels-up landing. And unfortunately, the unit was informed in June that it was going to be changed to the transport role, and the unit started to receive expediters in August of 1956 and DH-3C Otters in October. At the same time they got their Otters, they began to lose the Mustangs, with the Silver Stars leaving in February of 1957. And the Harvards in March, leaving the unit to only fly the Expediter and the Otter. Similar to the Silver Star, trying to find pictures of 403 Expediters is very hard, but I was able to find this one that shows what happens when you hit a power line in flight. In December of 1956, the unit was moved to Training Command and took on the role of training new transport aircrew for the RCAF. On January 25th of 1957, the unit had officially been renamed 403 City of Calgary Transport Auxiliary Squadron, and then just 403 City of Calgary Auxiliary Squadron on April 1st of 1958. With a reduction in the RCAF's auxiliary units during the 1960s, the unit was disbanded on April 1st of 1964. The unit, however, got a third lease on life when it was reformed in January of 1968 at Petawawa as 403 Helicopter Operational Training Squadron, flying the UH-1 Huey, known as the CH-118 in the Canadian Forces, and flew in the Army support role. In 1972, the unit was given the role to train new aircrew and technical personnel for the Tactical Helicopter and Rescue Units, and to fulfill this role, they relocated to Gagetown, New Brunswick, and re-equipped with the CH-135 and CH-136. In 1980, the unit absorbed the personnel from 422 Squadron when it was disbanded at Gagetown. In August of 1980, the unit was tasked to support the new Air-Ground Operations School, and they still fulfill this role today, although it is now called the Aviation Tactics Flight. In July 1990, the unit once again welcomed Air Reserve members when the Combat Training Center reservists joined the unit, and reservists still help support the running of all flights of 403 Squadron to this day. In August of 1992, the Land Aviation Test and Evaluation Flight was formed as part of 403 Squadron and were tasked with developing and testing new equipment and tactics for the tactical helicopter fleets of the Canadian Forces, and are still operational in this role today. The unit moved on to its next format in 1995 when the CH-135s and CH-136s were retired, and the unit re-equipped with the CH-146 Griffin, the first unit in the Canadian Forces to be equipped with them, and this is the platform that they are still equipped with today. As a tactical helicopter unit, 403 Squadron has twice deployed with the multinational force and observers, the peacekeeping mission to oversee the peace treaty between Israel and Egypt in the Sinai Peninsula. So 403 Squadron operates today with many hats, being a tactical helicopter unit flying in overseas operations, but also tasked with operational training for the RCAF's tactical helicopter fleet, as well as the testing of new equipment and tactics for the CH-146. With the Aviation Tactics Flight, the unit trains new flight commanders and operations officers for tactical helicopters throughout the RCAF. 403 Squadron today is an invaluable training asset for the RCAF and will continue as such for the foreseeable future. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, if you are interested in any of the content you see, you can access my website at www.seans-aviation.com. You can see all the latest pictures of aircraft and museums and the build logs of all of my current models and past models on that site. And if you're interested in any of this content, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube to follow more. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.